Hinge is the dating app designed to be deleted.
Hinge prompts help you show off your full personality and connect with someone who appreciates you.
Specifically, Hinge's LGBTQIA+ prompts are designed to help queer daters better connect based on similarities, interests, and compatibility.
Plus, these prompts were created in collaboration with GLAAD, so they are by the people, for the people. So, like, one prompt is, the first time I knew I was gay was, and it's funny, like, the first time I knew I was gay, Ronnie, is I was reading Nintendo Power magazine, and they had a spread about Castlevania 2, and they had, like, this beefy model guy as, like, the Castlevania guy, and I was like, who is that? And that's when I knew I was gay, and that's what I would put on Hinge.
Oh, God. And let's not forget the classic international mail catalog.
Oh,
wow.
the best. Download Hinge and show off your full self using their LGBTQIA+ prompts today. Then find someone worth deleting the app for.
This episode is supported by FX's Clipped, the scandalous story of the 2014 Clippers owner's racist remarks captured on tape and heard around the world.
The series charts the tape's impact on a dysfunctional basketball organization striving to win against their reputation as the most cursed team in the league.
Starring Lawrence Fishburne, Jackie Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman, and Ed O'Neill. FX's Clipped, streaming June 4th, only on Hulu.
Okay, everyone knows that Ronnie and I are big fans of coffee, and I particularly am very, very attached to my iced coffee.
So we're very excited to tell you about an incredible new product, Quest Iced Coffee.
You may know the Quest brand for redefining nutritional snacking, bringing you some of your favorite foods with added health benefits.
Iced coffee is Quest's newest product with mocha latte and vanilla latte flavors.
And Quest Iced Coffee has 10 grams of protein and only 1 gram of sugar. I'm literally drinking one right now as we record this ad, and I've been drinking them all weekend long. They are delicious. They give me the boost that I'm looking for in flavors that make me so deeply happy.
And it's a total game changer in the morning routine because I don't have to sit around making it. You know, it's just right there and it's protein right into my veins.
Find Quest Iced Coffees on Amazon.com/Quest Nutrition.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is part 2 of a 2-part recap. If you're wondering where part 1 was, well, go check in the feed and be sure to subscribe.
So she's like, you know how you have to make yourself happy before you make anyone else happy? That's the same
Danielle's
thing with
like,
confidence.
no.
Yeah, Danielle's like,
what? Danielle's like, I just fucked the balloon guy.
She's like, I just banged a bricklayer, so...
Not sure I understand this concept.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you. I guess Bravo had like an interview with him or got more information about Balloon Guy. He's like, I'm a bricklayer in the city, and I also have a job working on cesspools. And I was like, wow, that's fitting. Like, wow, did you come up in a keyword search for casting? That's usually what they're searching for from men on this show. They're like, a cesspool. Okay.
So, Lindsay is saying that it seems like Carl is solely dependent on her to boost his confidence, like her cheerleading him. And she just like can't believe. Also, she's like outraged that Carl is saying things like he just needs to figure things out, makes him second guess stuff. All these things where he's sort of dancing around the issue that like he may want to dump her, but then he's also like, oh, but you have to come with me to Montauk. So she's like mad at him, and she's like, fuck this guy right now. I'm not going to put on a happy face.
Well, she still hasn't flown off the handle, so I think he's still like, come on, we still have a chance at Montauk in front of everybody. And she's like, no. So then people head to their cars, and Lindsay's like, so what are your thoughts? He's like, what do you want to do? She's like, yeah, I don't want a repeat of last weekend. And he's like, well, we should have a good time and enjoy ourselves. And she's like, well, I guess I could go to Montauk if you want to. So then he's like, okay, we're going to Montauk. Okay, everybody, we're going to Montauk.
And they all can't believe it.
The only caveat is that I would like to ride with someone else.
And he goes, sweet. Wow. Can't believe she would do that. Wow. Meanwhile, he was the one who literally drove off without her last week. So don't get upset that she chose a different ride. Now you know how it feels. So, of course, Paige is loving this when she's like, I don't want to drive with a girl. Paige is like, oh my God, she won't drive with him home? Oh my God, Lindsay won't get in Carl's car to drive to Montauk. Oh my God, hold on. Chicken, guess what? No, I know the sky's blue. I get it. No, but guess what? Here's another thing. Carl and Lindsay are not
I'm
driving
going to go
together.
into business raising bulls.
No. You don't get to tell me what's new in your world. I'm calling to give you gossip from my world. My amazing New York world.
I just stabbed a swimming pool.
No, chicken, stop doing that. Okay, that's supposed to be did you stab the tanning shelf? How many times do you have to do that?
No. Yeah, sorry, my bad. What were you going to tell me?
Lindsay will not drive in the same car as Carl, chicken. Can you believe that? Can you believe that, chicken?
So then everybody gets in their cars and Lindsay's like, I would say goodbye, but I guess I'm going to see you guys in like 10 seconds. And then all the cameras go off because it's the end of the season, but it's not over. And also, I love that Montauk is like their version of fucking in the bathroom on this show. It's like the show's version because every time they go to Montauk, they just don't show it. They're like, guys, the cat's just going to have some private time now in the bathroom, known as Montauk.
Yeah, they figured out a workaround so that they can have private time, which is that they just go someplace where Bravo's not allowed. So then all of a sudden we see 3 days later, and it's New York City, and the violins are going nuts. It's like dun 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 dun, and we know this is like a really serious moment because now we're seeing gritty New York. There's like sirens going off, like a fire truck, like, like steam coming out of the subway. It's like dun 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 dun, like Dennis Franz is gonna come out with his ass showing. They're like, nah, it's gritty now, So Carl goes to a cafe and he meets up
I
with
miss
Kyle.
this music because it used to be Danielle. It used to just cut to Danielle in a crosswalk going, pie charts? Sure. Zoom call later. Am I right?
Founder and CEO. So Carl, they're at a cafe and Carl's like, how we doing, man? And Carl's like, I just don't know what to say, man. I'm like at a loss. Just kidding. I can tell you an entire monologue about what just happened last night. Are you ready? By the way, trigger warning. The following story involves bottles of Perrier being broken.
All right, well, I just wanted to warn you, I'm somewhat sober right now, so all I'm going to do in this scene is open my eyes really, really wide and nod like I'm confused and not like I've been coaching you for this moment for years. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm at a loss, okay? We're getting married in 2.5 months at this point, and we're unable to resolve conflict or communication challenges in a healthy manner. And you're trying to get into a workforce, Carl? That is what working is.
That's a great thing to tell you. That's a great thing to tell the person that you want to partner and hand you bags of money over the next few months, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, has Carl never received, I hope this email finds you well, because he's going to be dealing with a lot of communication challenges, okay?
Yeah. So Carl's like, oh, Sunday night, we got in the car and we're driving and we're barely speaking and we get back outside our apartment and she immediately gets out of the car hastefully, with haste.
Yeah, full of haste. Not hastily, but just full of, she had so much haste. I was like, babe, why you have so much haste right now? It's a bit too much, babe.
Haste not, want not, you know what I'm saying? And we had all this bottled water in glass bottles, and she's so hastily trying to move shit. It was hasty, bro. She literally shattered the bottles of water in the back of the car, and so now the back of my Kia is covered in hasty.
Literally, the people at Harvard were like, is that hasty pudding? And I was like, no, it's hasty glass.
Wow, what a hasty delight. So then she storms into the department. I get my stuff. I walk in behind her, and the elevator door closes behind my face.
Hastily.
And she goes, yeah, go ahead. Hastily.
Yeah.
That was the hastiest elevator door I've ever seen in my life. And then she goes up the stairs. Might I add? Hastily.
And I go upstairs on account of the elevator hastily going up without me, and she slams the door hastily in the main bedroom, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll sleep in the other room. Hashtag Casey.
And Carl's like, hey, it's been since you've been back. We haven't talked, but looking back at this summer, how do I even tell people how our summer was? Because the only person, I was tense with and didn't get along with was my fiance, who I'm supposed to be getting married to. And I've expressed that I'm having concerns, and she doesn't take it seriously. We haven't had sex for 3 weeks. We're very rarely intimate.
Yeah, and her response get this, was, I'm never going to change. This is how I am. Have you ever seen someone so hasty be so slow in how they change? I can't even believe that. That like hit me like a ton of hasty bricks.
So he's like, that might be a revelation I've been running from since the beginning of our relationship.
Oh, well, I'm so glad you guys got
running
engaged.
a lot.
So glad you got engaged.
Yeah, you've been running from a lot. So Kyle's like, well, I mean, we're all protective of our relationships. Like when I like lock Amanda into her office and don't let her think about bikinis, you know? But at some point you have to ask, what are you protecting, you know? Because like you're 2.5 months out. Might I remind you, sir, that when you were right before your wedding, you were literally turning on your webcam at home and sobbing into it because it was so hard and you wanted to make sure we all saw you sobbing. What kind of advice is this to give somebody if you're their friend? He still stood behind you in your stupid, terrible wedding.
So Kyle says, yeah, Lindsay told me point blank that all that you're doing is like talking in circles. Actually, she said circles and circles and circles and circles. It went on for about 10 minutes. Yeah. We do that all the time in conflict.
I'm vaping because I'm in Italy. So I was taking a vape from a pink lemonade crystal vape. Thanks, Italia. Yeah.
So Carl's like, yeah, well, we do that all the time in conflict. And like, we go like, okay, we're just like not gonna worry about it. But then we get into another fight and then opens up the old shit back up. And like, I'm guilty of that. Okay. And I referenced things in January that happened. And like, she gave the ring back to me in the heat of a fight. Might I add, a hasty decision. And she literally threw the ring at me, like, which was hurtful as fuck.
Okay, Carl. So let me get you're so desperate now that you're going back to a fight in January where she threw a ring at you. Come on, Carl. This is so sad, bro. This is like, so what, 6 months later? Come on. So he's like, yeah, she's claimed that she's grown and realizes how hurtful that was to throw the ring back, but I can't recover from that. You know, it was just so hard. And then we get into another loop of fights. I remember that stuff. Oh, how many times have you broken up with Lindsay in the past? We've seen it on this show. But now you can't get over the fact that she threw a ring at you and told you to fuck off in a fight. Please.
So Kyle's like, well, are you going to get what you need? And like, if there are things that are never going to change and like, you feel like you're putting in the work and like she's not meeting you halfway, then what you should do is hire her as your project manager. And then she's forced to do things the way you want them. Right?
Tell her she doesn't have a 401k without you. That'll do it. And you need to be honest here with yourself. You want to marry her or not? And he's like, I don't. No, dun dun dun. So then, Lindsay is sitting on her sofa.
This is right after. It appears to me that this is right after because Carl's wearing the same outfit, right?
Carl's in the same outfit. So listen, I know that I'm a broken record about stuff like this, and I know how annoying it is, but it's the last episode, and I just have to say again, Carl did not get what he wanted by the final episode, so now he had to get it together and call the cameras back in, make sure Kyle could shoot with him so he could explain to America yet again how traumatized he is by this emotionally abusive behavior of somebody asking him about his job prospects. By the way, he's still not working in this timeline. I'd just like to add. Okay, so he's brought up the cameras to make sure that he doesn't canceled. And now is the big scene. Lindsay knows they brought back up the cameras after shooting, so she knows something is going to go down with Carl right now. Now, would Carl tell her to her face? Nope. He's going to call the cameras in and do this all on camera. So you can see that she kind of knows what's coming, but is also like, what the fuck is this guy going to do?
Maybe it's that also she's thinking not like, oh, they picked up the cameras again. She's thinking, all right, and now here comes the part where we film the rocky road to our wedding, but then we get married and it all works out. Like, this is just like storyline. Like, we all know the Bravo storyline for a wedding. Everyone loses their shit, but then there's a beautiful wedding and it's happily ever after. So she's like, well, I guess I'll start. I do not want to fight with you. It's just like not productive, sort of like your working track record, and
kind of like you
at a job. But it's like it's like not helping either of us, sort of also like you in a workplace. So today I was like, you know what? Maybe Carl feels like me asking questions is me belittling you, or like thinking you're not capable. Maybe he's just a fragile wuss of a human being. And then I was like, no, but where would that come from? Because we've had so many conversations, last fall, like when, like I was your sounding board for everything you were trying to figure out for Loverboy when you hated it. Remember when you hated it and then said you never worked there again? Well, I'm turning to Shannon Bedore.
Yeah, you did turn into Shannon Bedore there. We had 2 Shannon shows this week, so maybe that's why. But yeah, she's like, okay, so first of all, starting with the whole, okay, maybe you feel like I'm belittling you. Like, at least she's put some thought into it, So she's like, but, you were talking to me about Loverboy, and now you're kind of making me the enemy here. It's like first you're asking me for help on getting out of Loverboy, and now that you want back into Loverboy, you're making me the enemy. So what's going on here, And she's like, how could your needs change that much in the last 2 weeks? Now, on the other hand, I know we've been giving Carl shit this entire episode. Lindsay, this has not just been 2 weeks.
No.
This has been the whole summer that this has been a fucking disaster. And it's been since last summer, really. Even though they were doing the over-loving thing last summer, that was so painfully fake to watch,
right?
And overcompensative. Is that a word?
No, but
to watch. That we knew that was bullshit. So obviously this has not just been 2 weeks.
Yeah. And so she keeps on saying like, oh, suddenly everything changed in the past 2 weeks. Nothing, like you said, there have been obviously there's foundational issues if you got into a fight that was big enough that you threw the ring at his chest, 2 months into your engagement, 3 months into your engagement. So she's like, but like when your needs change, it feels like you started assuming like the worst in me. And like all of a sudden I'm like the enemy for asking questions. And it's true. He does assume the worst in her. So Carl's like, no, you're not the enemy for asking questions. I have tried over and over to explain that I'm feeling very anxious and very overwhelmed about making a career choice. And I've asked for you to be a little more comforting and excited and positive versus the questioning. And this has been going on for a long time. You're overwhelmed about whether or not to take like a part-time work consulting for Kyle's company. I mean, come on now. Just get a job.
Well, he's making it that he has to come up with his whole career decision right now for Lindsay. So that's what's stressing him out, And so he's like, and we've talked about sobriety, and you keep saying you're pigeonholing your pitch. Okay, so this is where he lists everything.
Yeah, you're pigeonholing yourself.
He goes, yeah, we've talked about monetizing sobriety, which I don't know that that's the best. Listen, I know that I'm not in this relationship, but monetizing sobriety isn't the best idea. Like, that's not an industry. You know what I mean?
Well,
sorry.
It's also I
won't
say it's not the best idea, but it's not the first. He's not the first person to come up with it. And I have to say, I have to imagine there are a lot of people who are fresh out of recovery who kind of do this, who kind of think it, because you know what it's like when we all get excited about something. You're doing something, it's improving your life, you get excited about it, and you're like, this is what I want to do. But it's like a lot of people felt that way too before you, right? So, so he's like, well, you said I was pigeonholing myself. You said you're not an actor. What do you mean you want to do that? Which, by the way, did Carl want to be an actor? Was he saying he wanted to take acting classes?
That's your other brilliant idea, Carl. You wanted to be an actor. So a 40-year-old who's never done anything in acting or has any experience or never shown any, like, it's just so easy. You could just walk. That actors actually get training and make an effort to do that, right?
Training.
Carl.
Oh, never mind.
So he's like, what do you mean you want to do that? Like, oh, and then I talked about a sober bar and you said, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. And then he goes, oh, and then I talked about cigars. Cigars, Carl?
What? What do you mean you want to do that? Cigars? We've never seen you smoke a cigar once on this show. Maybe once, but it's not like a thing for you.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. He has no direction at all. So he's basically just throwing shit at the wall. Well, I could sell cigars. Oh, no. I could be an actor. Oh, no. How about a bar that doesn't serve alcohol? Oh, no. Maybe I could charge people for me being sober. Oh, no. What do you mean? That's not a good idea. What the fuck, Carl? So she's like, Carl, over the past 2 weeks, we've talked about this extensively. So it's the same conversation. He goes, well, we tried to. But guess what happened? Sunday night happened. She's like, what are you talking about? He's like, Sunday night, we got to a point where you pulled out a phone and you tell me you're going to record the conversation. Carl, You know you're one manipulative gaslighter if someone needs to record the conversation and tells you about it. If somebody's like, Carl, I'm going to record this conversation because you keep twisting my words around, that means you're a manipulative asshole. What do you think you're proving by bringing this up right now?
Yeah, and she's like, I'll tell you, I was talking about Labor Day and how I didn't want to go to Montauk. It's, yeah, you kept repeating yourself and repeating yourself. She's like, yeah, I went down a list. By the way, am I allowed to speak? I went down a list as to why I wanted to be chill on Labor Day. Then I went to like, hey, I think it'd be really important for us to like, reconnect, just have some like one-on-one time because like we haven't really had that this summer. We haven't had a date. And then you went and said like, you need to do this. You need to change. And this is who you are. And I turned around and I said, why did you propose to me? You've known me for 8 years. I'm the same person that you proposed to. I'm confused. And then you said, honestly, I don't know why I proposed to you. And at that point, I said,
Yeesh.
I should start recording you because you're saying really nasty things to me. And I didn't record anything.
So basically, he got really nasty in the car, and she said, okay, well, I should start recording this so you know how nasty you're being. Because every time he gets nasty, like when he got nasty, and she said, he's acting like cocaine Carl when he gets like that. And everybody's still up in arms over that, her saying that. Like, you were acting like you were when you were on cocaine, And so she's saying, okay, I'm going to start recording you because it's going to be another time where you insist that you never did this, right? And so she goes, but I didn't record anything. And he goes, yeah, but you said that you were, and you pulled your phone out and she goes, yeah. And then you thought I was recording. So you started manipulating the recording by saying, stop screaming at me, Lindsay. Lindsay, stop screaming at me. And that is so fucking Carl. The minute he thinks a tape recorder is on, he's like, abuse, she's abusing me. Carl, you are such a fucking gaslighting piece of shit. And I love that you're bringing all this up right now to act like you're proving a point in favor of yourself. Idiot.
Yeah. And by the way, like, I think even if it were true, because he says, I'm not manipulating, I'm telling the truth. I think Lindsay screaming at you is still, like, not as bad as you saying, I don't even know I got engaged in the first place. Like, that's much nastier. So Lindsay's like, I'm trying to understand desperately what you need from me and that I can adjust, but like it's sometimes clouded because like when you get angry and raise your voice and sing insults. And he's like, we literally live in like two different worlds, like with you. Like there's a reality and like what you spin the reality to be. You're like a Black Widow and like you're really gifted at playing victim. You've been gifted at that since I've known you. It's more than just yourself in the relationship. So if you've known that since you've known her, why the hell are you engaged her in the first place, Carl?
And how is she playing victim again? You're literally the one sitting here crying again.
You're jumping
so
her.
He's like, yeah,
she's literally the victim.
You've been playing the victim since I known you, and it's more than just yourself in this relationship, Lindsay. You say it's a partnership. It's not a partnership. This is your show that I just pay the rent to be part of. So now Carl wants a gold medal for paying rent. This guy. This guy.
Commercials. Here comes one right now.
Audible offers an incredible selection of audiobooks across every genre.
As an Audible member, you can choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog. The time is now, more than ever, to embrace the breathtaking, sinister, and shocking tales that have enthralled you, especially with brand new exclusive thrillers from best-selling authors who are guaranteed to keep you gripped.
Right now, one thing that I'm very interested in taking a listen to is The Daughters of Block Island, which is currently #1 on the mystery, thriller, and suspense list. So that is definitely going into my queue.
New members can try Audible free for 30 days.
Visit audible.com/crappens or text crappens to 500-500. That's audible.com/crappens or text crappens to 500-500. You know, the third host of this show is named Bueller. Okay, that's my dog. I love that dog, and I would do anything for him. And today's episode is sponsored by the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program.
In today's world, we insure a lot, from cars and homes to cell phones and even travel plans. But what about insurance for your cat or dog? With ASPCA Pet Health Insurance, you can focus on the care your pet deserves and cover what matters most.
The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program offers customizable accident and illness plans, making it easier for pet parents like you to help your pet get the care they may need.
The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program has been around for over 18 years, and they've helped more than 600,000 pets during that time.
They allow you to customize your plan, helping ensure that your pet's plan is unique as they are.
Because vet bills can really add up, especially when you're least expecting it.
It's simple. Use their app to submit a claim and you'll receive reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account.
To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/crappens.
That's aspcapetinsurance.com/crappens.
Again, that's aspcapetinsurance.com/crappens.
This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance.
Ronnie, isn't it amazing that we live in a world where you can get anything you need when you need it right to your door?
Yeah, with DoorDash, you can get pretty much anything.
This is so true. I really will lean into whatever. Groceries, ran out of booze at a party once. You can literally DoorDash. It feels like everything in the world sometimes.
Well, truly. And now I do the double dash where I get some food from one place, but then I'll still want ice cream.
Yeah.
And you can get that from another place. Or have them run to Walgreens or the 7-Eleven or whatever on the way to get your snacks. I mean, it's a dream. DoorDash, your door to more. Download the DoorDash app now to get almost anything delivered.
Must be 21 plus to order alcohol. Drink responsibly. Alcohol available only in select markets.
So Lindsay's like, listen, I've been listening to you. I haven't been fighting with you. Just give me some grace here. And he's like, I've given you so much grace. It's not even funny. And this has been happening since we started dating. And I'm very controlled. Like, you want to talk about how I should spend my career?
Yeah. And
You
he's
don't
like,
have a career.
yeah. And he goes, yeah, and I get that we're in a partnership and it matters what I do with my career, but I brought up different things the past year, but time and time again, you're over questioning, you bulldoze over me, and you call me a loser. This is just male fragility right here, by the way, everyone. This is just a guy who does not have his shit together and cannot deal with it, and she's basically calling him out on it, and he cannot deal with the fact that he has stagnated, essentially.
So she's like, I'm in charge of my own feelings and emotions, and I'm not going to blame those on you, because that's what he's doing to her. And so he goes, yeah, well, you call me things. You call me a little bitch. You call me a little baby. You call me a mama's boy. You say things like run home to your parents and complain about it. And now listen, I know that he's telling the truth, because all of those things are 100% true. And I'm glad that somebody's telling him, because he sure as fuck needs to hear it. So good on her for even that.
He's upset that she said run home to your parents when he literally had an episode where he's like, well, I ran home to my parents and this is what they said. So Lindsay's like, where are we going? Where is this coming from over the past 2 weeks? And he's like, well, where have you been in this relationship the past 12 months? Look back at your text messages. Look at the things you've said to me. I don't think you trust me. By the way, the last 12 months, do you remember you just said what happened 12 months ago? You got engaged to her. You got engaged to her. You're sitting here saying that she was terrible to you for 12 months, and at the same time you're saying, remember when I got engaged or proposed to you? Why did you propose to her if it was terrible? What's going on here?
So she's been nothing but a terrorist since you got engaged to her, and you're wondering why she would call you a little bitch and a wuss for not getting out of it? What is wrong with you? You can't have it both ways, Carl. So he's like, yeah. Oh, so he goes even lower. He goes, yeah. And you know what? I don't think you trust me. I think you think I'm going to relapse. And I think you want me to relapse. And I think you want me to fall back so you can control me even more. Oh, really? How about you want to be with someone who's drinking because you think you can always blame them for being a drunk and you always have a get out of jail free card whenever you fucking fight? That's really fucking low, Carl.
Carl's this new thing of like, you're controlling me, or you want to control me. This really does reek of like midlife crisis male, right? Like someone who is powerless in his life because he hasn't made good decisions and is not strong enough to make the good decisions, or shies away from making them, then decides to blame it externally on someone and being like, they're controlling me. If it weren't for you guys controlling me, I would be so successful and so happy and so wonderful, but you're controlling me. It just reeks of it. It's kind of like pathetic. So he's like, I think we've been like trying to make things work, to make the solution. Like we continue to trigger each other, and like I don't want to live like that. Like we're supposed to be married in 2.5 months, and like I'm not ready to do that. And Lindsay's like, what? She's like shocked. I will give this one to Carl. You're right. You should not be living this way. Neither of you should be. You guys should not be in a relationship. And it is kind of wild that Lindsay is shocked by any of this. Like, this is a terrible relationship.
I think the reason I think she's shocked, well, first of all, I agree with you, and I'm glad they're breaking up because they do not need to be together. And even Carl, I don't like Carl right now, but I like Carl in general. And I think that Carl deserves love, and he does deserve someone that he's right for, and that's right for him. And this is not it.
No.
And I feel like they're both in settle mode. And I think Lindsay is shocked. I think she's genuinely shocked because now that I've seen it all play out and seen how she's reacting to Carl, I think when they go to therapy together and she's learning all of this, like how to work things out in a relationship. Like, when you were saying earlier, relationships aren't difficult. They shouldn't be difficult. Well, to people like Lindsay, they are. She's got a lot of issues and we've seen them play out on the show. She's never been able to have a relationship. So I think when she goes to therapy with somebody and they're like, we're going to work this out no matter what. And this is how you talk through an issue. And this is how you don't react to things and fight. And this is how you do this. And so she starts putting all those things into action. She's thinking we can have all these conversations, but I'm doing what the therapist told me to do. And that's positive because we're still having all these conversations. And this is it. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in a relationship. So when he turns it around and says, fuck you, like, we're not in a relationship. She's like, well, I thought the whole point was that we're going to stay together and work through this no matter what.
Or she's just
and
thinking,
like, nope.
Or she's just thinking, wait, but we're supposed to be filming our wedding. It's going to be a big thing on Bravo. What's going on? So,
well, that's true too.
So Carl's like, he's like, I'm hurt. I'm like really unhappy. I just don't think our communication is going to improve. And she goes, what happened the last 2 weeks? She's still hanging on to this thing like something happened in 2 weeks. And he's like, well, at what point do we look in the mirror and say, we love each other, but this isn't working out? Sorry, I stole that last part for when I had at my last job. This isn't working out. Sorry.
Yeah, so he's like, I just don't know what to do, and we've been trying to make it work, but I'm not ready to get married. And so he's like, the fights we have, they're not normal, and I can't live like this. And I'm not going to commit to going to couples therapy for the rest of my life because I can't live like that, and you can't either.
Which I think
but
is
I've got
fair
news for you. Well, yeah, but he's probably going to need it because this is beyond couples therapy.
No, he needs therapy, but he's basically like, he's like, we've been in couples therapy. Like, he's like, we've been broken since the beginning. I think that they thought they were going to be able to therapy their way into happiness. And he's basically like, no, we're foundationally fucked and we're just going to keep going to couples therapy and it's never going to fix these issues.
Yeah. So basically that's it. He's like, this isn't working. And she's like, well, I'm not going to beg you to be with me. And he's like, I don't want you to beg me to be with you. Oh. And she's like, okay, so I guess you've made the decision. And he's like,
you did it without me.
I've been trying to get us on the same page for a year. Oh. And she's like, well, okay, so that's it. And he's like, well, I just don't make you happy, Lindsay. I don't support you the way that you need. Oh.
And she's now angry that like he made this choice without her. Like it's like, oh, okay. So he just, because that's kind of the theme here. It's like he's gonna just handle this career, like whatever the career thing is. He doesn't want her input. He's gonna do it without her. And now it's like, oh, and I decided this is what we're gonna do. Like this was too tough, so I've decided this is over. So this is just feeding into her abandonment issues, right? Just left behind.
Listen, I agree with you. He was handed a job by Kyle. This guy who did not do anything to deserve it was handed a job by Kyle. He was handed everything. Then he decided he couldn't do it. He couldn't stick with the commitment of it. So he used Lindsay to villainize Kyle. He villainized Kyle to Lindsay, got rid of that monster. He slayed that monster. Then things were peaceful for a while and he needed another monster to slay. And it was Lindsay. So now he's going to pretend like he just overcame this huge thing. He's going to go work for Kyle again. And then he's going to need another monster to slay. And it's going to be someone close to him that he could betray. Because he's too lazy to even go outside of his friend circle to find someone to fucking betray.
So he goes, now he has his own little mini monologue. He goes, I don't think you trust me. I think you think I'm going to relapse. I think you think I'm not capable as a human being of making money. I think you think I'm sensitive and not a man. I think you think I lack confidence. I think you think I have an anger problem. Carl, you've been untrustworthy in the past. You've had issues with substances in the past. You haven't been capable of making money. You have been sensitive, and you have lacked confidence, and you have been angry. So
You
yeah,
definitely
she
have an anger
would-
problem. All of
she
those
would
things
think
are
all
true.
of those things.
I
Prove
will
her
leave the
wrong.
relapse out of it, because I don't think that's cool, but I would leave that out of it. But for all of the other ones, yeah.
So
I wouldn't
I'm-
trust
I'm
you.
actually not
I
going-
don't think you're capable of a human being that makes money. I do think you're too sensitive. I think you lack confidence, and I think you have an anger problem. And I don't think it's crazy for
I actually
anybody
am not-
who's even watched this show for 5 minutes to think that.
I actually, believe it or not, I actually would not leave the relapse thing out of it. Not saying it's not questioning him and like his strength and his commitment to his sobriety, but I think that probably as a partner to someone who's gone through that, I think that is probably a concern that lingers in the back of her head. It just probably is. And like, it's not to be like, oh, well, because like that's just what he would do. But like, he says all these things as if they're totally unwarranted and unfounded. Like, it's just absolutely bizarre that she would think any of these things. But these are all very real things because he has had a spotty record with his employment. We joke, we always say, oh, he gets fired from every job. But honestly, his employment's been very bad on this show. So like, she has reasons to believe that, like, has reasons to be concerned about his ability to make money. She has reasons to be concerned that there might be a relapse in the future. So like, he says like, oh, she's crazy for all these things. It's like, but like, prove her wrong.
So now the producer, Lindsay, goes off to the bedroom, and the producer's like, I'm just checking to see if you all right. And she's like, well, I just don't know what they fucking want from me. Like, what are they, like, you've brought the cameras back up again. You brought him back here. You've humiliated me on camera. And now what am I supposed to do? Lose my shit? Start throwing things? What do you want? Like, get out of my room, bro.
Yeah.
Jeez. So she just calls her dad and she tells him, okay, well, the conversation, because of course she's like, oh my God, Carl's called the cameras back up, so what the fuck is going on today? So she calls to update him and she's like, well, he showed up to the conversation already with a decision, and he didn't want to repair anything. He didn't want to hear what I had to say. He just wants to call off the wedding and break up. And the dad just goes, oh boy. But I feel like the dad was probably like, oh boy.
Dad was excited.
Yes.
The dad supported this 100%. And then the producer's asking Carl if he needs more time, and he's like, I don't even know. Like, try my best. And like, I've really given it my all. I thought like this would work. Like, I know relationships are hard. They're hard. But maybe I just like question my own sanity. Like, am I crazy? I feel like I'm crazy half the time because like I know my experience, but then I hear her rendition of it and I feel even crazier. Wow, she's just like a witch woman casting spells. I don't understand anymore.
Yeah, like he's not fucking gaslighting 24 hours a day. So she's going off to her dad about like she's not going to try and convince him, and relationships take work, and if he's not going to do it, and then it cuts back to him and he's like, I don't want to hurt her. I care about her. But I just don't understand how it could work, Like, I can hear their conversation and she's saying things like all of a sudden. It's not all of a sudden. And that's the crazy part, It's like fight after fight. I mean, in this building, we had a noise complaint and she got an email from the landlord saying there's like been complaints. Like, I'm just always going to lose. I'm always going to lose. Why are you making it sound like she's been so mean to you that you're getting noise complaints? That means that you're both fighting so loudly that you're getting a complaint. Please stop trying to be like this beat little boy. I'm just not buying it, dude. And he's like, yeah, she's going to spin this and tell everyone she's blindsided and caught off guard. And I'm going to be an asshole again. And my life will be canceled. But she'll be the fallen woman who everyone's going to feel sorry for. Which explains his behavior the entire season.
Yeah,
I mean, this really
exactly trying to avoid.
This really is the jinx where the guy just walks into the bathroom and confesses to all the murders.
So
what did people say what were people comparing that to? They were bringing up the jinx in the comments of a show recently. It was so funny.
I have no idea.
But just reuse it again for this. Fucking stupid Carl. You almost made it, Carl.
Yeah, so 48 hours later, headlines break everywhere. And so the women all decide to gather at Danielle's apartment of all places. And Paige is like, wow, I feel like your apartment is our meeting zone. And I just didn't think we'd end the season on such a sad note. Wow, this is really where you live, Danielle? Wow.
This is really
Sad.
really sad. Lindsay, no, your apartment.
Danielle's like, she's like, I got Prosecco. I've never hosted one of these before. I just didn't think that when the cameras came back up, I'd I'd be hosting it. It's so sort of strange. Paige is like, okay, yeah, well, okay, we'll get through this. You're lucky, bitch, because we have our own issues. So she's like, yeah, it's so crazy to find out about like your friends in the news, you know. And Danielle's like, yeah, well, on Sunday they really were not good. She was texting me saying that they're fighting, and then they sat in silence for 2 hours for Montauk. And Paige goes,
And Paige was like, yeah, you know, she's like, I texted Carl and I was like, I love you. You'll be okay. And he said, thanks, Paige. Love you too. Absolute nightmare with leaks and everything. I feel everything that like I blindsided her or everybody thinks I blindsided her or maliciously had cameras set up so I could break things off, which is not what I was trying to do. Carl, look at Carl. He can't even just say thanks. He has to like get a paragraph in text for her to read on camera to excuse himself.
Yeah.
Again. You did pull up the cameras to dump her and blindside her, Carl. You fucking did. Why? You even had a scene with Kyle before to affirm it. Why are you? Just be a man, dude. Admit what you're doing. Stop trying to like run around and be so backhanded with every single thing. Say at least,
yeah, exactly.
I did pull up the cameras because we're living our authentic lives and that's what we're supposed to do. And everybody supported this relationship, so everybody should get to see me break up with her. At least be honest.
Yeah, exactly. And Gabby's great because she doesn't feel bad for him whatsoever. She's like, he knows what he was doing. And Paige is like, well, he did them both a favor. They shouldn't have been getting married. He should never have been even proposed to her. You know, her heart, she can't take it at that age. And so Gabby is like, yeah, well, that was some fucked up shit on Sunday anyway. And so they're basically, then Amanda's doing, well, they both did fucked up shit to each other.
Amanda's here to stick up for the men, of course. You know, the boys, I mean, I understand both sides. We shouldn't point fingers. We didn't witness everything that went down. Okay, Amanda, whose husband doesn't even support her doing one simple fucking thing for herself. Amanda, we know you're a wuss in your relationship. Don't try to get it all over everybody else, okay?
Exactly. So then Sierra's like, okay, let's give Danielle a victory lap. Danielle, I would love to hear your thoughts because last year, you know, it was what it was. I'm not telling you to have an I told you so moment, but I can see the way that you're clutching the kitchen counter and containing that smile on your face. You just really want to say, I told you also.
Yeah. And she's like, no, I would never say I told you so. I literally started crying, mostly because Balloon Guy was so good at fucking me. God, I love Dick. Have I mentioned that? But, yeah, I told you so. Basically, I told you so. Yeah. So Gabby's like, yeah, I knew. Like, he was at the bridal shower and he was posting on Instagram, you're going to make the most beautiful bride. And then the way he did it, no, unforgivable. He knew what he was doing. She literally just tried on her wedding dress.
See, Carl had all the energy to show up for all the, you know, the performative things, you know, to show up at the bridal shower and where everyone can go, oh, Carl, and post things on Instagram where he could look like sweet little boy, charming, like just the nicest guy. But
he was so in love with her. What did she do to him to turn it from that sweet guy in a pink suit at a bridal shower into being broken up? She must have done something really, really terrible. And then he was going to make sure that she did do something really terrible by poking at her until she blew up, but she never did. So sorry. Now everybody sees what you've been doing this whole time, you fucking loser. You can't even do that right.
So then the doorbell rings and everyone's like shocked. Like, I can't believe there's someone else coming. And it's Lindsay and she's crying. And Paige is like, oh, I didn't expect you to be crying. I didn't expect you to be here at all. I don't know what to do right now. I'm supposed to still be friends with her.
Did you hear that we've banned sock hops in America?
I didn't know you had moisture left. So Paige is like, it's kind of a reference to Arrested Development. So Paige is like, it's okay. You know what? He did you a favor, please. And you didn't want to marry that man anyway. Let him go. Let him go. By the way, this is what you get for not inviting me to your wedding. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha.
That was the best line of the night. That's what you get. So Lindsay's like, I just don't understand. I mean, how do you do this to your best friend? Like, I mean, I'm totally blindsided. And she just goes through this whole monologue of crying and stuff. And everybody's just looking at her. And then she's like, all these dumb boys I dated, I was comparing them all to Carl. It's always been Carl. And I just can't believe this. And then all the girls are like, boo, sorry. No. You guys hate each other. They're like, you've been fighting all summer long. What are you talking about? She's like, yeah. Oh. And then Lindsay just stops and looks at them like, oh. And they change it around, which I was not expecting, but they all change it. And they're like, no, Lindsay, you guys are not meant for each other. And Paige says, yeah, he did you a favor. Just let him go. Because in a year, you could be married with a baby. I mean, I don't know how, but miracles do happen, and it could be the love of your life. So just let him go so someone else can come in, and you said it. I'll stay in it. I'll work on this with you. I'll marry you, and this is going to be my life. And you expected this was going to be your life, but even you deserve way more than that, Lindsay. Okay. Even you get a literal crutch if you need help walking, not a hairy, unemployed man. Okay.
Or Harry Dubin. So then the girls are like, so that bachelorette trip you were going to take, like, to Mexico, should we just do that instead? She's like, oh, sure, fine, we can do that. And then she tells Paige, I can finally give you my invitation. And they all are laughing. And it ends on this fun note of the girls saying, fuck this situation. We're going to go to Mexico and we're going to celebrate Lindsay. Which is really good.
I loved it. I loved that it ended with all the girls fucking being peaceful and hugging at the end of the season. I don't think that's ever happened on this show.
Yeah,
and
nice.
It was really, really nice to see it after a year of this shit, of the men being just toxic shitheads, for a season to end like this. I loved it.
Yeah, it was really. It was.
You hang up on me. You're like, yeah,
No.
fuck off, Ronnie. Click.
I was like, how dare you? You beast. No, it was great.
you.
It was riveting television. I thought it was fascinating. I think this whole season has been fantastic. I think, the season has been fantastic in multi-dimensional ways. This Carl and Lindsay thing has been super fascinating to me, but also the Kyle and Amanda stuff. I think we got two great, casting wins out of Jesse and West, and Sierra has shown different sides of her personality that have been wonderful. Paige has had a banner season with her commentary, standing up for all the right things. It's just been a great time to be a Summer House fan, and it's getting record numbers, and I understand why. It's just so good. It's so good, and I'm so proud of this show. I'm excited for this reunion. But you know what, though? On the note of that reunion, our recap will be up slightly late. The reunion, we're still going to be on our European vacation, but when we get back, we shall recap the reunion. So it'll be a few days late, but we'll still cover it.
Yeah, so we are going to be doing some stuff next week, but we do have a full week of shows. Real Housewives of Dubai returns, so we will be back Monday. We've already recorded that. It's epic. It's a really fun show, and it's a really fun recap. And then the next day, we will also have a recap for Below Deck Mediterranean. That's going to be a two-parter. That's a huge epic recap. They're going to have a great season, we think. And then we are going to release all of our live shows that we've been doing here in Europe. So we've got 3 of those classics coming up. And I think we've got something else, but I don't remember what it was. So who knows?
Who knows?
But we will be here all week next week with shows, so don't go anywhere. And then when we come back for new shows, we'll be back with more Dubai. We'll catch up with what we've missed, which is New Jersey, and continue on with everything else. So thanks so much for being here. We sure love you guys, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Watch What Crappens would like to thank its premium sponsors. Ain't no thing like Allison King.
Ashley Savoni, she don't take no baloney.
Stroll in the park with Caitlin Clark.
She's not just a Sheila, she's a Daniela. Itchels. Aaron McNicholas, she don't miss no trickolas. She's never scary, it's the Green Fairy. Jamie, she has no last namey.
Hava Nagila Weber. Know your worth with Jason Kurth.
Sip some scotch with Jessica Trotch.
She's always supplying, it's Kelly Ryan.
Kristen the Piston Anderson. Let's give a kisserino to Lisa Lino. We want to hang with Liz Lang. Megan Berg. You can't have a burger without the Berg.
The Bay Area Betches. Betches.
And our super premium sponsors.
Somebody get us 10 cc's of Betsy MD.
We're taking the gold with Brenda Silva.
Let's get real with Caitlin O'Neill.
Don't get salty with Christine Pepper. Can't have a meal without the Emily Sides.
We forever love Ava.
Nobody holds a candle to Jamie Kendall. We got our wish, it's Jen Plish.
She's not harsh, she's Jill Hirsch.
She's a little bit loony. Junie. My favorite Murdo, Karen McMurdo. We love him madly. It's Kyle Pod Shadley.
Let's go on a bender with Lauren Fender, the incredible edible Matthews sisters.
Give him hell, Miss Noel.
Ring that bell for Rachel.
She's the queen bee. It's Sarah Lemke.
Shannon, out of a cannon, Anthony. Let's take off with Tamla Plain.
She ain't no shrinking Violet Kuchar. We love you guys.
Hey Prime members, you can listen to Watch Our Crappens ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today. Or you can listen ad-free with Wondery Plus in Apple Podcasts. Before you go, tell us about yourself by completing a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
Peyton, it's happening. We're finally being recognized for being very online.
It's about damn time. I mean, it's hard work being this opinionated.
And correct.
You're such a Leo.
All the time. So if you're looking for a home for your worst opinions,
If you're a hater first and a lover of pop culture second,
then join me, Hunter Harris,
and me, Peyton Dix, the host of Wondery's newest podcast, Let Me Say This.
as beacons of truth and connoisseurs of mess, we are scouring the depths of the internet so you don't have to.
We're obviously talking about the biggest gossip and celebrity news.
Like, it's not a question of if Drake got his body done, but when.
You are so messy for that, but we will be giving you the B-sides. Don't you worry. The deep cuts, the niche, the obscure.
Like that one photo of Nicole Kidman after she finalized her divorce from Tom Cruise.
A mother to many. Follow Let Me Say This on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Listen to episodes everywhere on May 22nd, or you can listen ad-free by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app on Apple Podcasts.
It was the biggest scandal in pop music. The stars of Milli Vanilli, the Grammy-winning multi-platinum R&B phenomenon, were exposed as frauds. But none of this was their idea. So whose idea was it? Enter German music producer Frank Farian. He saw the success of acts like Michael Jackson and Prince, and he wanted in, no matter the cost. So he devised the perfect pop heist. Two once-in-a-lifetime talents who were charismatic, full of sex appeal, and phenomenal dancers. The only problem? They couldn't sing. But Frank knew just how to fix that. Wondery's new podcast, Blame It on the Fame, dives into one of pop music's greatest controversies and takes a never-before-heard look at the exploitation of two young Black artists. Milli Vanilli set the world on fire, but when the truth came out, Rob and Fab were the only ones who got burned. Looking back now, it's hard not to wonder, why did everyone blame them and not the man pulling the strings? Follow Blame It on the Fame, Milli Vanilli, on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of Blame It on the Fame early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.